Hey there, welcome to another Fishing with Tom adventure. Here we are at the Sebago Lake headquarters. It's April 1st, and if you can see outside, we've got a nor'easter going. No fishing at all. The lake's frozen up. All the lakes are frozen up in Maine. Last year I was on the water on March 18th. This year, I'll be lucky if I'm on this month at all. But a lot of you have asked for some gear videos as far as what we use for trolling up here for ice out salmon. So that's what we're going to do today on this snowy April Fool's Day. So sit back and I hope you enjoy the video. Talk about the trolling setup we use. We troll with a fly rod in early spring at ice out, and I use a real heavy saltwater fly rod. It's longer, it's a little stiffer, and I'm running a Martin multiplier reel. It's the MG72. I've got the market corner on these. I've probably got 7 or 8 of them. I keep them all rigged up, and I'll talk a little bit about the line. But basically run the fly line after a backer, and then 30 feet fluorocarbon 8-pound test. And then I put a, not sure if you can see it on here, but I put a swivel, a small bead swivel, and then I run one of those fluorescent beads that keeps the items off your line that might collect in the springtime water. This is the Martin MG72. I'll show you it a little bit more, but it's a real heavy duty fly reel. It's got a good break on it. A lot of fishermen out in New York area use them on steelhead. They can really stand up to the salmon and the trout that we catch in the spring. So we'll show you a little bit more about some of the other pieces. My fly bench. So a little bit more about those reels. The Martin MG72 has been around for quite a while. This is an older model. It's got the aluminum drag adjustment. The older ones are better. They hold up a little bit longer, I think. This is one of the newer ones. It's got the different drag. LO Bean sells them. I used to get these for 20-25 bucks a piece on eBay. Now they're going for almost 100, which is foolish. But they do make a great reel. They're reversible. They got a phenomenal drag, and they work really well on our spring fishing. I run a special line. It's the Cortland salmon trolling line. It's a level 8-weight line, a little bit longer than most, super fast sinking. Again, this stuff is crazy. It's going for 50 bucks now. I think I bought 8 of these on eBay for 15 bucks a piece a while ago. But I got a bunch of extra ones of these. Occasionally it'll get wrapped up in the prop and you'll lose the casing on it, the outside. So I keep these on hand, and I usually keep probably 6 reels, 2 in the boat on the rods, and then 4 more in my tackle box ready to go in case I get a bird's nest, because from time to time you can. So again, I run the reel with the backing, the Cortland line, and 30 feet of fluorocarbon 8-weight. I think this is my, no, that's my 14. That's for togue. But in any case, that's what I run there. And right at ice out, we troll smelt. And a lot of the old timers would sew on their smelt, but I use a sliding rig. It's a lot quicker and easier. This is one of them. Sometimes I tie these, sometimes I buy them. But it's essentially a larger hook behind a smaller hook. The smaller hook adjusts to the length of the bait. And it's on a stiff piece of 20-pound mono. I'll show you how the bait goes on. I'll grab one of my rubber minnows. So here's a gulp minnow, and I do run these. These work really well if I either run out of bait or don't have time to get bait. So essentially you take the rear hook, put it in backwards, the back towards the tail of the fish, run it out that way, bury that in there, and then you'll lip hook with the smaller hook the front of the fish through the lips, and you can adjust this and actually put a bend in the smelt, and when you're trolling, that'll cause it to roll every so many feet. We call that the death roll, and I'll tell you, that really draws the fish in. So that's how we use that sliding rig. Couple different types. I've got some treble hook ones. We'll use those from time to time if we're getting short strikes, but most of the time I like to use the single hook model. It just makes releasing the fish easier. I let most of my fish go. So I keep a bunch of those. If you see a few lures floating around, I haven't cleaned out my tackle box yet, but I keep a few of those in there. When the wind picks up and you can't troll bait, because we're trolling our bait at about a mile an hour, we switch to streamers. And I've got a number of ones that I use. I usually use the tandem streamer because I think they stay on the fish better. The tandem streamer kind of works with the fish when you're playing it. This is a barn special, and that replicates the yellow perch, which are prevalent in a lot of the waters we fish. Real good salmon lure. I'm sorry, no, that wasn't my Barnes. That was the Pink Lady. Here's my Barnes here. This is the Barn special, and that replicates the yellow perch. You can see the barred feathers there. Probably my other favorite lure, our fly, streamer fly, is the Gray Ghost. This one was originated by Carrie Stevens up in the Rangeley area back in the 20s, I think, 20s or 30s. And that really looks like a smelt, a rainbow smelt. Probably if you had one fly, you'd go with the Gray Ghost. I got a couple other ones. The 9-3 that came out of the Waterville area. Black Ghost, I got a ton of them. But we'll try those out when the wind picks up and we troll faster. I got a few standard type hooks, streamer hooks. These are Joe Smelt. It's got a mylar body and a mallard feather over top of it. Looks like a minnow. It's a real good fly. And then we'll also use lures. We use the Moose Look Wobbler. Probably our best pattern up in Rangeley the last couple of years has been this tiger pattern, fluorescent orange. I got to go through these and fix them all up. But and on Sebago, the half orange, half silver, half orange, half gold, or all fluorescent orange Moose Look Wobbler do the trick. They really love this color on Sebago Lake salmon, and of course togue as well. And there's a number of different patterns they sell. These are the ones that I prefer. I picked up this at the Maine Sportsman Show this year. I was working the writer's booth for the Maine Sportsman, and afterwards I did a walk around, and there's a guy out of Vermont, and it's Daddy Mac Lures. This is a jointed perch, and he had a fish tank set up with one of these swimming in it, and it really does swim lifelike. It's got Kevlar in the middle, and that's what the jointed piece is attached to. So I'm going to give it a try. It looks really good. It's got some good action, and this will be one we try this spring and summer. I'll show you some of the trout lures we use once the salmon go off the bite. It's into May up here in Maine. I concentrate on trolling for brook trout, rainbow, and brown trout. And some of our favorite lures are the Al's Goldfish. This is a model I've had for a while. Al's Goldfish is now made in Maine. The company resides in Biddeford, Maine. And they've really picked up a lot of different lines as well. But these are great trout spoons. They do real well. Trolling on the same rig that I use, the same fly rod rig. Also use the Thomas Buoyant. This is kind of a brook trout pattern. And again, any small spoon like that works well, but the Al's and the Thomas really do a good job for us. The Williams Company also makes their small trolling spoon that I'll use. I think this one's called the Ridgeback, that I'll use for brook trout as well. And then we use the old standard Rapala or Rapala. These are all hooked together, but I'll either use the bronze color or the silver color. Bronze color looks like a little bass, and those do really well on brook trout early in May when the water starts to warm a little bit and the salmon go off the bite. And there's another lure that we use for salmon I didn't mention, the DB Smelt. And I've got quite a few of those. These are a real thin wobble spoon, bunch of patterns. Here's the pinkish tiger stripe, the hammered finish, and the gold on the back. Here's one I really like. Looks like an emerald shiner. It's got that pearlescent color. That looks really good, like a smelt going through the water, and it's got a lot of good action. As you can see, I've got a slug of these, a couple more moose looks in the fluorescent patterns. And then when the fish go deep, or towards the summer when I fish for lake trout or togue here at Sebago and some other spots, I'll throw on lead core, and this is what I run for a lead core rod. This is a Penn 109 reel. These are old. These reels were probably made back in the 50s. I got a slug of these off of eBay. I fill them with lead core, usually in the 20-pound range. I put the same long leader on, and sometimes we'll put a spoon on, or a Dodger. I've got a couple of those here. This is the standard silver Dodger. Sometimes a rudder, That's a copper rudder. These are the cowbells. These are made by, I think Al's Goldfish made these. These look like a Al's Goldfish type. But they do a lot of attraction. And then the Wobbler Company, or the Lake Clear Wobbler. These are inline attractants, and they sent me a few of these to try. And I'll rig those together, put those on my my lead core rod. Then of course, to really get it down there, we've got lead rudders. I don't use too many of these anymore because the lead core usually gets it down there, but those are some of the older ones. And I've got some of these I've also got on my rods rigged up already. Here's a smaller Dodger, and that just goes through the water, creates a lot of flash, and about 3 feet behind it you'll have a fly or a lure. And these work pretty good. They put a lot of resistance on the line too and get the line down deeper. So that's kind of a down and dirty of what I use in the springtime, getting into the warmer weather of May. It's not the only answer. There's folks that fish with different rigs, but it's what works for us, the crew that I fish with. We have good luck with it, and hope you got a little bit out of it. And if you got any questions, shoot me a message, and I hope you enjoy the videos. And one of the next ones you see will be Fishing with Tom, hopefully on Sebago Lake. Until then, thanks for watching Fishing with Tom Adventures. Signing out.